Stop! Read that name again. The microphone crackles. The dean doesn't sound confused. He sounds unsettled. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. The entire auditorium shifts. You know that moment when a room full of people suddenly senses something is off? Conversations die mid-whisper. Programs stop rustling. Even the air feels tighter. And then, every head turns in the same direction, toward Alara Voss. She freezes in her seat. Not because she doesn't recognize her name, but because no one has ever said it like that before. Not with weight, not with hesitation, not like it means something. So let me ask you, what would you do in that moment? When the one thing you've been ignored for suddenly becomes impossible to overlook. Alara's fingers tighten around the thin paper program in her lap. It's slightly crumpled, cheap ink, generic print. She almost didn't have one at all. She almost didn't even attend. Because this day? This wasn't supposed to be about her. 2 rows ahead, her younger sister, Maren Voss, sits perfectly poised, tassels straight, cords gleaming under the auditorium lights. Everything about her screams preparation, support, expectation fulfilled. Maren turns slightly, confusion flickering across her face. She's smiling, but it's slipping. Because this moment, this interruption, it wasn't part of her story. Front row, center seats. That's where Richard and Leanne Voss sit, Alara's parents. Their posture is rigid, controlled, the kind of people who plan outcomes before they happen. And today's outcome was simple. Maren graduates, Maren shines. Maren validates every decision they made. Alara? She was never factored into the equation. Not when tuition came up, not when applications were due, not when she asked, once carefully, almost cautiously, "Can you help me too?" Richard didn't even look up from his laptop. Figure it out. 2 words, clean, final. And somehow those 2 words followed her for years, through late-night shifts, through rejected scholarships, through a semester she couldn't afford and had to walk away from, through silence at family dinners where her life was never quite important enough to discuss. So how is she here? And more importantly, why did the dean just stop an entire graduation ceremony because of her name? Up on stage, the dean leans closer to the printed list, adjusting his glasses like he's expecting the letters to rearrange themselves. A staff member rushes over, whispers something. The dean's expression changes. Not confusion anymore. Recognition. Slow, heavy, real. He lifts his head, and this time, he's not scanning the crowd. He's looking directly at Alara. "This can't be right," he murmurs, just loud enough for the microphone to carry. A pause stretches. Too long, too deliberate. And then, "Wait!" He grips the podium slightly tighter. "Read that name again." Alara's chest tightens, because suddenly, every version of her past, the dismissed one, the overlooked one, the one who had to figure it out, is about to collide with something she never told anyone. Not her parents, not her sister, no one. And once it's said out loud, there's no taking it back. Figure it out. 2 words. No backup plan, no follow-up, no discussion, just done. That was the moment everything split for Alara. So let me ask you, what happens when you realize you're not the priority in your own family? Because Alara didn't argue, didn't raise her voice, didn't beg. She just nodded, and quietly started building a life no one was paying attention to. At 18, she had the grades. Not perfect, but strong. Strong enough for decent schools, strong enough for a shot. But in the Voss household, potential wasn't enough. It had to be predictable. And Alara? She wasn't predictable. "You jump between interests too much," Richard had said once, barely glancing at her report card. "Law, psychology, writing, pick something stable." Meanwhile, Maren, 2 years younger, had already been labeled focused, promising, worth investing in. So when college came around, the difference wasn't subtle. Maren got campus tours, consultants, application coaching. Alara got a deadline and a suggestion. Community college is cheaper. And just like that, the gap widened. Family dinners became quieter, not peaceful, not comfortable, just selective. Marin's achievements were discussed in detail. Her professors, her grades, her social life, everything mattered. Ilara? How's school? It's fine. Good. Conversation over. At some point, she stopped trying to fill in the blanks. Instead, she filled her time. 2 part-time jobs, 1 at a cafe, 1 stocking shelves overnight, classes squeezed in between exhaustion, assignments done at 2 a.m. with cold coffee and fading focus. And here's the thing, no one saw the worst of it. Not the night she fell asleep in the library and missed her shift. Not the semester she had to drop because her account balance hit 0. Not the moment she sat in her car, staring at a tuition bill she couldn't pay. Would you have kept going? Because Ilara almost didn't. Almost. But something in her refused to stop. Not out of hope, not even out of ambition, just resistance. If no one believed in her, fine. She'd remove belief from the equation entirely. She transferred schools after 2 years, quietly, no announcement, a better program, more competitive, less forgiving. No one asked how she got in, and she didn't offer an explanation. Because by then something had shifted. She wasn't doing this for approval anymore. She was doing it because stopping would mean they were right. And that wasn't an option. Then came the email. Random Tuesday, 11:42 p.m. A subject line, Academic Review Board, urgent notice. Her first thought, mistake. Her second, problem. Maybe a missing requirement, a flagged grade, some administrative issue waiting to unravel everything she'd barely held together. She stared at it for a full minute before opening it. And when she did, her entire understanding of where she stood changed. But here's the part that matters. She didn't tell anyone, not her parents, not Marin, no celebration, no reaction, no hint that anything had shifted. She just closed her laptop and went to work the next morning like nothing happened. Because whatever was in that email, it was big enough to rewrite the story. And Ilara wasn't ready for anyone else to touch it yet. Not until she understood exactly what it meant. Not until she was sure. And definitely not until the moment it couldn't be ignored anymore. Ilara didn't celebrate the email. She hid it. No smile, no call, no late-night message to anyone saying, "You won't believe this." Just silence. Because deep down, she didn't trust it yet. Have you ever gotten good news that felt dangerous? Like if you said it out loud, it might disappear? That's where Ilara was. The email wasn't a warning. It wasn't a correction. It was an invitation, selected by the Academic Review Board, flagged for exceptional cross-disciplinary performance, under evaluation for a university-wide distinction, something reserved for students at the absolute top. Not just her program, the entire school. At first, she reread it 3 times, convinced it had to be sent to the wrong person. Ilara Voss? The one who took breaks because she couldn't afford tuition? The one juggling shifts and assignments half asleep? It didn't match. But the more she looked at her grades, her research, the recommendations quietly attached at the bottom of the email, it started to make sense. Not easily, but undeniably. And here's where things shift. Because instead of stepping into that recognition, she stepped back. She accepted the evaluation, submitted the required materials, met with faculty. But outside of that, nothing changed. At least not publicly. At home, the same pattern played out. Marin posted updates about internships, study abroad options, polished milestones that earned immediate praise. Richard shared her achievements with colleagues like proof of something. Leanne smiled more around her. And Ilara? He's still figuring it out. Still the uncertain one. Still the question mark. And she let them believe it. Why? Because this time, the outcome wouldn't be decided by their expectations. It would be decided in a room they weren't part of. Behind closed doors, faculty panels, academic records, no bias, no comparison, just results. But there was a cost. Pressure. The kind that builds quietly. Every paper mattered more. Every exam carried weight she couldn't explain to anyone. Every interaction with faculty felt like it could tip the scale. And still, she said nothing. Not even when the second email came. Shorter, colder, more final. Status confirmed. Final rankings to be announced at commencement. That's it. No details, no reassurance. Just a date. Graduation day. The same day her parents would be sitting front row. The same day Maren expected everything to revolve around her. And the same day, Alara's secret would stop being hers. Because whatever ranking she received would be read out loud, in front of everyone. No filters, no control, no way to stay invisible. And sitting there in that auditorium now, as the dean grips the microphone and asks for her name again, Alara realizes something. This isn't just recognition. This is exposure. And once it starts, it won't stop where she expects it to. Read that name again. The dean's voice is sharper now, not confused, certain. Something has clicked, and Alara feels it before anything is said. You know that split-second moment when everything you've kept contained starts pushing outward? Yeah, that. A staff member hurries across the stage, heels clicking too loudly in the silence. She leans in, whispering into the dean's ear. He listens, nods once, then straightens, adjusts the microphone, and now, he's not just continuing the ceremony, he's redirecting it. Ilara Voss. This time he says it slowly, clearly, deliberately. The name lands differently, heavier. A ripple moves through the audience, confusion first, then curiosity. Because here's the thing, Alara wasn't seated with the top honors group. She wasn't announced earlier. She wasn't expected. So why is everything stopping for her? Her heartbeat starts to climb, steady at first, then faster. Across the aisle, Maren shifts in her seat. Her smile is still there, but it's strained now, tight at the edges. This isn't how today was supposed to go. Front row, Richard leans forward, brows furrowed. Leanne glances between the stage and the program in her lap, like she's missed something obvious. But they haven't, because there was nothing to see. Until now. It appears, the dean continues, voice echoing through the hall, that we have overlooked a distinction that requires immediate correction. A pause, long enough to stretch every nerve in the room. Alara feels it in her chest, in her hands. This is it. No more separation between what she carried alone and what everyone else is about to hear. The dean looks down once more, then back up. And when he speaks again, there's no hesitation. Ilara Voss has graduated with highest honors. A murmur spreads instantly. Heads turn again. Faster this time. Recognition is starting to form, but the dean isn't finished. And has been ranked. He pauses. Almost as if weighing the impact of the words. Number 1 across the entire graduating class. Silence. Complete. Total. Then, sound crashes back in, gasps, applause, confused whispers colliding into something louder, something undeniable. Number 1, not top 10, not distinguished. Number 1, across everyone. Ilara doesn't move. For a second, it doesn't even feel real. Because this wasn't supposed to be loud. It wasn't supposed to be this. Years of being overlooked, compressed into a single public moment that no one can ignore, reinterpret, or dismiss. Not anymore. She glances forward. Her parents are frozen, not smiling, not clapping, just staring, like they're trying to reconcile two completely different versions of the same person. Maren, she's still, completely still. The kind of stillness that isn't calm. It's controlled. And then, Ilara Voss, the dean says, extending a hand toward the stage. Please come forward. There it is. The moment that breaks the distance. Because standing up means stepping into it. Into their line of sight. Into their realization. Ilara exhales slowly, rises from her seat. And as she starts walking down the aisle, every step feels measured. Deliberate, not rushed, not hesitant, just certain. Because for the first time, she's not catching up, she's already ahead. And as she reaches the stairs to the stage, she knows something else. This doesn't end with applause, this doesn't end with a title. What comes after this is going to change everything they thought they knew. Number 1, the words don't fade. They don't soften. They stay, hanging in the air long after the applause begins. Ilara steps onto the stage. The lights feel brighter up here, warmer, exposing, but for the first time in years, she doesn't feel like shrinking under them. She walks toward the dean, steady, controlled. He hands her a separate document, thicker than the standard diploma cover. Official. Marked. This was meant to be announced earlier, he says quietly, off mic. But there was a review delay. Your file was exceptional. Exceptional, that's the word they use now. Not uncertain, not inconsistent, not risky, exceptional. She nods once, taking it in, not as validation but as confirmation, because she already knew what it took to get here. The missed sleep, the isolation, the quiet persistence no one witnessed. Now it just has a name. Behind her, the applause continues, but it's uneven. Some people are still catching up, still processing. And then she looks out. Front row. Her parents are standing now. Not immediately, just delayed enough to reveal the hesitation that came first. Richard's expression is tight, like he's trying to reorganize years of assumptions in real time. Leanne's eyes are locked on Ilara, wide, searching, almost disoriented. Marin doesn't stand right away. When she does, it's slower, measured. Her hands come together in applause, but her gaze never quite meets Ilara's. That contrast, it says everything. The ceremony finishes, but the real shift happens after. Outside the auditorium, conversations swirl. Names, rankings, recognition. Ilara's name moves through groups of people who had never noticed her before. Faculty approach her first, firm handshakes, direct eye contact. Graduate program representatives follow. Offers, cards, invitations to apply, clear, tangible outcomes, not hypothetical support, real opportunity. Then come her parents. There's no script for this part. Richard speaks first, but it's different from before. Slower, less certain. Why didn't you tell us? A simple question, but it carries everything underneath it. Ilara holds his gaze. Would it have changed anything? He doesn't answer, because the honest answer is already there. Leanne steps in, softer, but no less unsettled. We could have helped. We would have... Ilara doesn't interrupt, but she doesn't agree either. Because that version of events, it doesn't match reality, and they all know it. Marin lingers a few steps back. When she finally speaks, and her voice is controlled, but thinner than usual. I didn't know you were even in that program. I didn't tell anyone, Ilara replies. Not defensive, not sharp, just true. And that truth lands heavier than anything else, because it redraws everything, not just what Ilara achieved, but how completely she did it alone. In the weeks that follow, the consequences settle in. Richard and Leanne try to reconnect, but the dynamic has shifted permanently. Their authority feels reduced, not gone, but no longer assumed. Marin keeps her distance, not out of anger exactly, but recalibration. For the first time, she's not the reference point. And Ilara? She accepts a fully funded graduate program offer, one that includes a research position and financial stability she never had before. No loans this time, no side jobs just to survive. Just focus, just forward movement, on her terms. The night before she leaves, she stands in her apartment, boxes packed, silence settling in. Her phone buzzes, messages from family, missed calls, attempts to bridge something that was never built properly in the first place. She doesn't ignore them, but she doesn't rush to answer either, because this time, she chooses the pace. She looks around once more, then picks up her keys, and walks out, not proving anything anymore, just continuing, complete.